Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Pressing Matters. This is Pressing Matters episode number 8. We're getting close to 10 episodes already since we started the Plug Talk Sports Network. It's fantastic, super excited. My name is Danny Torres, your host, if you guys didn't know. But we have a fun show planned for you guys today. It's going to start out a little fun here. We're going to be talking about the new FIFA World Cup 2026 jerseys that were unveiled by Adidas. I'm having a little bit of trouble of sharing my screen, so I will share it off of my phone, as you guys can see right here. I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. That is the Italian and the German jerseys that we are seeing right there. Italy, if you want my opinion, Italy looks very similar to what they always get. So does Germany, but I really love that German jersey. This is the last year, actually, for Germany with Adidas, which is actually quite shocking that Adidas or Adidas, should we say, and the Mannschaft of Germany, they will no longer be partners, and Germany is heading over to Nike, which almost seems like a sin and should never happen, but it's happening and we should get used to it. But out of those two, Italy and Germany, I love the German one more than the Italian. The Italian's more slick, clean, usual for Italy, but Germany, I absolutely love it. They've had some great kits throughout the years for World Cup. I absolutely loved the one, I believe it was 2018, where they had the all black and the German flag was on the sleeves. That was fantastic. Then the next two that we have is Mexico and Argentina, the defending world champions. I really love, you see here, Mexico has this kind of Aztec Mayan design behind it, obviously with their new logo. I give them an A+ for that one. That one is really, really cool. For Argentina, it's honestly the same thing every year. Just the blue and white is designed a little bit differently or shaped a little differently. So there's not really much of a big difference there. And then we're getting to our last three here. This one is always special to me. You know, I'm thinking about buying it. I probably will buy it. And I'm talking about Spain. They did say, so we got the red, and then they did say that the stripes and the blue on the sleeves are a honor to the 2010 World Cup blue World Cup jerseys that Spain wore when they won the tournament. They actually wore those dark blue jerseys the night that they beat the Netherlands in Soccer City Stadium in Johannesburg. So that was a tribute to them. And then obviously Spain has that new logo as well. And then the typical red, it's clean. It's a clean Spanish jersey. I think, obviously, you know, with my ties to the country, thinking about getting it. And then we have next to it Japan. Japan is really cool. Japan's just emblem. It just reminds me, I don't know, it just reminds me of something from the military or anime. And I'm not just saying anime because it's Japan, but that's what it reminds me of. And their symbol also reminds me of a car brand. If they had a car brand, that would be their emblem. And it's really cool. Not my favorite. And then you can kind of see towards the end there, Colombia, which, to be honest, Colombia, it's always the same thing as well. Nothing really changes with their jerseys. But out of all those, if I had to pick between Italy, Germany, Mexico, Argentina, Spain, Japan, and Colombia, if I had to rank them, now again, not based off the team or the country, just based off the jerseys and the design, number one, I'm going with Mexico. 2, I have to go with Germany. 3, I got to go with Spain. Oof, this gets tough now. 4, I have to go with Japan. 5, Italy. 6, Argentina. And 7, Colombia. No hate there, just it's usually the same thing all over again. So if you guys actually want to purchase these, they are available. I believe as the World Cup qualifiers are on now. I think the teams are wearing these. Those are the kits that they're going to wear for the tournament next summer, should I say, here in the United States, Mexico, Canada. And you can go cop them already at Adidas's website. I don't think I haven't seen Nike. I could be mistaken. I haven't seen Nike drop their jerseys for the World Cup. I could be wrong. I need to check. I don't think they have. Not. I would have seen it for sure. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you like? Which jerseys do you like the most from Adidas and the countries that that are sponsored by Adidas? And the commercial was really cool. I mean, the commercial had Trinity Rodman in it, Lamine Yamal, Aitana Bonmati. It was really cool. It's cool to see Lamine Yamal and Bonmati, who were wearing actual cowboy hats. As, of course, the World Cup being in the United States, paying tribute to Texas, which the state of Texas has games at AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys, which will host a semifinal as well. In my personal opinion, I think that they should have hosted the final instead of MetLife Stadium. But I still don't know what went into that decision-making, and I would love to hear from FIFA why they chose New York over Dallas and the facilities of New York over Dallas. And Houston, NRG Stadium, home of the Houston Texans, will also be hosting World Cup games. Speaking of the World Cup, we are going to talk about World Cup 2026. Again, we are less than a month away from the World Cup draw at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. I cannot wait for that. We're just inching closer and closer to the official tournament. But we're going to take a look at how things are shaping up, trying to find results here in UEFA. It's tightly contested. The groups, we'll go through the table here. Right now, in Group A of qualifying, 1 and 2 are tied in the group with 9 points. 1 is Germany and 2 is Slovakia. So they're tied on points. 3 is Northern Ireland with 6 points, and not winning anything so far through qualifying is Luxembourg. In Group B, Switzerland in first 10 points. Kosovo in second with 7 points, only 3 behind Switzerland. Slovenia with 3, and this was shocking. Sweden, only 1 point. I was looking over Sweden's roster last night, and they've had much stronger teams in the past. Their players in Sweden are not really playing in strong clubs around the world, and that takes a big influence when you go through a roster and you see where their players, what clubs are they playing at. It takes a big account. So Sweden's really struggling, and we might not see them in the World Cup in 2026. Group C, Denmark tied on points, 10-10 with Scotland. Denmark, they had a better squad. They have a better squad and players playing in bigger clubs than Sweden. But Scotland in recent years has been one of those national teams that have been giving problems to teams like England, Wales, Ireland, Northern Ireland. In that region, Scotland has really been showing up. So credit to them. They're tied. I mean, they're sitting in that second position, but they're tied in points with Denmark. And then there's Greece that only has 3 points. And then Belarus with 0 points, hasn't won anything. Then we have Group D, France, 10 points. Of course, we know that France won the World Cup in 2018. 2022, they went back to the final, loss on penalties to Argentina. And second, with 7 points, is Iceland. Third, also with 7 points, is Ukraine. And Azerbaijan with 1 point. So it'll be interesting to see in that group between Iceland and Ukraine who comes on top. Then in Group E is Spain, 12 points. They're likely heading to the World Cup and clinching a spot this week. In second is Turkey. Turkey is another one of those teams that has players that are in their golden age right now. They're playing in big clubs in Europe. Then we got 3 points for Georgia. We saw Georgia at the Euros. We saw what they did, but it doesn't seem likely that they'll make a World Cup. And then there's Bulgaria in that group that hasn't won anything. Group F, Portugal, who Cristiano Ronaldo actually today receiving a red card against Ireland. But Portugal in the way with 10 points. And I will say this, I actually think that Portugal, with the players that they have, are favorites to win this tournament. They're actually losing right now. I just mentioned how Ronaldo picked up a red card. They're actually losing right now 2-0 to the Republic of Ireland. So that is definitely interesting. Later this week, they will play Armenia. So, I mean, you look at the Portuguese squad, it is deep. I mean, Rui Silva, Jose Sa, Diogo Costa, those are the goalkeepers. And obviously, these are the players that were called up for this international break, right? So, obviously, Joao Cancelo, Nelson Semedo, Ruben Diaz, Diogo Dalot, Goncalo Ignacio, Antonio Silva, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Ruben Neves, Joao Palhinha, Vitinha, Mateus Nunes, Renato Vieira, Joao Neves, Cristiano Ronaldo, Carlos Forbes, Rafa Leao, Francisco Trincao, Joao Felix, Goncalo Ramos, and Francisco Conceição. I think that they have a very solid team. And when you look at PSG at the club level, who are the defending European champions and were on a dominant run, dominated Inter Milan in the UEFA Champions League final. They had a fantastic run in the FIFA Club World Cup. Unfortunately, in just a crazy final, came up short against Chelsea. They're dealing with some injuries now to start out this new season and this new campaign. But a lot of the PSG players are Portuguese. And I think a player, for example, like Nuno Mendes, came up clutch and is really in his prime and one of the best in the world right now. Same with Vitinha. Francisco Conceição is another Portuguese player that is playing well right now. And obviously, you can never discount Cristiano Ronaldo. And it's going to be interesting to see how Portugal manages Ronaldo in this upcoming World Cup. He has confirmed that it is his last. He has confirmed that he thinks that he only has 1 to 2 years left playing professional football. But I definitely think that Portugal is one of the favorites and can make a deep run. So, very interesting. Hungary, who is in 8 points in second place right now. They won today 1-0 over Armenia. So they draw within 2 points of Portugal. Then you've got Ireland, who will go up to 7 points if they hold on to the 2-0 victory over Portugal. And then Armenia with 3. So it'll be interesting to see for second place. Remember, second place has a chance to go to a playoff to try to get remaining spots out of UEFA to qualify for this World Cup. Group G, Netherlands with 16 points. Group G is very interesting. Netherlands with 16 points. Poland in second with 13. But hold your horses. In third is Finland with 10 points. So Poland needs to watch out because Finland could come back, take that second spot in the group away from Poland. I do think that Netherlands will stay in first and will qualify for the World Cup. And obviously 3 World Cup final appearances, one against Argentina, one against Spain, and the other one, I want to say it was against Germany. Lost all 3. Obviously, we know that the Dutch do a great job at developing players at the club level. Feyenoord, PSV Eindhoven, Ajax Amsterdam. They do a great job of developing players, and I think they're a strong team. I don't think they would be favorites, but I definitely think they have a competitive team. Then Group H, this right here, Austria with 15 points leading the way. Obviously, David Alaba from Real Madrid is an Austrian. He is on that national team, and Austria might be going to the World Cup. We got Bosnia just 2 points behind, though. We haven't seen Bosnia, I don't believe, in a World Cup since, I want to say 2014 in Brazil. I could be wrong, but that is, from my recollection, the last time we saw Bosnia in the World Cup. You got Romania in third with 10 points, so they're in the mix as well. Cyprus only with 8, and San Marino with 0. Group I, Norway, 21 points. They're well on their way to clinching a World Cup berth. Erling Haaland will get a taste of the FIFA World Cup, and I think that's great for football to have a player at his magnitude and size doing such a great job at Manchester City, has broken onto the scene Obviously, talks with the Ballon d'Or 2 seasons ago. I think it would be great to have Norway in the FIFA World Cup. Italy's right behind with 15 points. I do think that the Italians in a playoff match will have a great chance to get into this tournament. Obviously, Israel in third with 9 points, Estonia with 4, and Macedonia in fifth with 1. I don't think, unfortunately, for those 3 teams, I don't think they'll make it to the World Cup. Group J, Belgium, 14 points, hanging on by 1 point because second is Macedonia with 13. Wales, who featured in the last World Cup, is in third with 10 points. So 14, 13, 10. That group is very, very close together, and this week will be massive to see who can decide that. Group K, England with 18 points, Albania with 11. So I think England's well on its way. Albania, though, needs to watch out. They're only up by 1 point on Serbia, who's trying to make a push. And that'll be interesting to see who can go to a playoff. Latvia in fourth with 5 points, and Andorra with 1 point. So I don't think those two are going anywhere. And then finally, Group L, Croatia, who has, by the way, 2 MLS players on its national team roster, FC Dallas and Orlando City representing there. They're up 3 points in first over Czech Republic with 13 points. Faroe Islands with 12, one behind Czech Republic. So the Czechs got to watch out. And then we have Gibraltar with 0 points, and then Montenegro with 6 points. So obviously, first place teams qualify for the World Cup, and position 2 goes to the World Cup playoffs to get spots to get into the tournament. So that's why it's extremely important, that second place spot. Let's take a look at some of the games we've got going on. Obviously, today is Thursday. 2-0, like I said, right now, 90th minute, Ireland over Portugal. Looks like they're going to hang on. Norway picked up a 4-1 victory over Estonia. Hungary, like I said, 1-0 over Armenia. Iceland over Azerbaijan, 2-0. Italy, 2-0 over Moldova. England, 2-0 over Serbia. Some things going on there. Thomas Tuchel saying that there's not going to be enough room for all of Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, and Phil Foden to be going to the World Cup. I think that is remarkable comments and huge news, because he says the way that England plays, there's not enough space, and he is not shy to leave one of them at home heading to the World Cup. And I'm telling you right now, it has to. If I have to pick out of those 3, pick 2 and leave one at home, I'm leaving Phil Foden at home, because you have to take the highest scorer in English football history. You have to take Harry Kane, and the influence in the midfield from Jude Bellingham, you have to take him as well. And it's unfortunate for Phil Foden, but this is my common sense thinking. I think that Foden gets left at home if that comes true. Albania 1-0 over Andorra. France 4-0 over Ukraine. And then looking at tomorrow's matches in UEFA, we got Finland over Malta, against Malta, should I say, Gibraltar against Montenegro, Luxembourg against Germany, Poland against Netherlands, Croatia versus Faroe Islands, Slovakia versus Northern Ireland. We got more matches on Saturday. We go through the weekend. Georgia against Spain, that'll be a good one. Kazakhstan, Belgium, Cyprus, Austria, Turkey, Bulgaria, Liechtenstein, Wales, Slovenia, and Kosovo, Bosnia-Herzegovina and Romania, Denmark and Belarus, Switzerland and Sweden, Greece and Scotland, and then we go back up the table starting Sunday. But let's talk about the teams that are qualified for the FIFA Club World Cup. World Cup 2026. Currently qualified as I pull it up here. Hang on just a second. Obviously, the hosts, USA, Canada, and Mexico, are already in by default. So out of Asia, you have Japan, Iran, South Korea, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Jordan, and Uzbekistan. So out of those, Good to see Qatar making it back. They were the host nation last World Cup. Didn't do too good. Didn't make it out of the group, but they're back in this tournament. Jordan and Uzbekistan, welcome to the FIFA World Cup. Out of Africa, we've got Morocco, who I think have a great chance to make noise. I think they are my sleeper team, to be honest with you. Egypt, back in the World Cup after missing the last one. They were in 2018 with Mo Salah. Algeria, Tunisia, Ghana, Senegal, South Africa, welcome back. Haven't been to the World Cup since hosting it in 2010. Ivory Coast and Cape Verde. Cape Verde, another one of those countries that have not been to the World Cup and will be in the tournament. UEFA, obviously, big week for UEFA, but so far qualified in UEFA is England, so the Three Lions will be going to the World Cup. They're another one of my favorites, so I got Portugal, England. Those are so far two of my favorites to win it all. I'll say France is back in there and Spain as well. I think those teams, in my opinion, with the sleeper being Morocco, have a good chance of winning the World Cup. Those are my favorites in my opinion. Then we got South America, defending champions Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And out of Oceania is New Zealand. So like I said earlier, there's still time for teams to qualify, and we'll give that information to you as we go on. But you heard it from me. Question is, who's going to win the World Cup? You got my favorites. Portugal. I think they got great players in the top of their peak right now. I think they have a golden generation right now that's building. France, they're just too deep, too stacked. Still have lots of youth. I think they have a chance to go back to the final for a third straight World Cup. Spain, we saw them win the last Euros. I think they have a chance to go all the way. I think they just have great team chemistry and play together as a team. And then England. Obviously, we know a lot of times England disappoints us, but I think they have a golden generation right now and the best talent that they've had in a while, and they've made it close. They've been to the Euro final. They've been to the World Cup semi-final or quarterfinal, should I say. And I think that they have a good chance of making the final and trying to finally bring it home, right? So those are my teams. I'm going to move on to the next subject here, and it is interview with Piers Morgan and Cristiano Ronaldo that happened recently. And again, we have confirmed now that Ronaldo will be in his last FIFA World Cup for sure. It's going to be 41, right? I don't expect to see him in another World Cup. That's confirmed that as well. I mean, it's probably going to be the same for Messi for sure. Then, of course, he said in 1 to 2 years, he is probably going to retire. But it's interesting to say that I think that he is going to try. He is going to try to reach 1,000 goals. He also said that if he doesn't win the World Cup, he's okay with it. He doesn't believe that winning the World Cup defines him as a player. He believes that he's already one of the greatest to play the game, if not the best to ever play the game. My personal opinion, you ask me, I agree with that. I do think that he is the best player of all time. I prefer him over Messi. Listen, people say, oh, that's cocky for him to say that. Listen, I think that when you look at athletes from all over the world, every different sport, whether we're talking Jordan, LeBron James, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, I think that Steph Curry even, I think that there is a level of confidence. We can go on, right, in every sport. Max Verstappen, Rafa Nadal when he was playing, now Carlos Alcaraz. There is a level of confidence that you have to have in yourself to be able, to reach the mountaintop and stay there for a long period of time. Look at Tom Brady, right? And then people say, oh, they're cocky or whatever. Look, Messi, I'm sure he has that same level of confidence, but his personality is different. Messi's a little bit more quiet. introverted, and he doesn't show that. But we've seen it. We've seen that competitive side come out with him in the field. So I do think that Messi has that side of him, inside himself. And I think to be able to stay at the top, to stay at your game for so long, you need to have that side of you. You need to have that killer mentality. You need to have that mentality that no one is better than me. You need to have that mentality in your head that I am the best in the world. And you need to have that motivation every day when they get up in the morning to continue to train and to continue to be at that level. Now, it is sad for me because obviously we're reaching an era and a time where there's not much left longer for Messi and Ronaldo. It's my generation. We've been gifted these two players who've marked an entire generation, have done two things for both of them, should I say, things that no one in football, no one in soccer has ever seen. And we're definitely going to miss that. And I don't know if there's anybody that could replace that. I mean, look at the next generation, Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe. We know how great he is. And we just don't know if we're going to have somebody who can reach the heights of Ronaldo and Messi, right? And they continue to push each other to do bigger things and to be better. But in this interview, yeah, I think that he has a right to think of that way of himself. He's definitely earned it. I could see how it, provokes people to think a certain way about him. But at the end of the day, we don't know these people, right? We don't live in their houses. We don't interact with them daily. We can only form an opinion on them from the outside, but we cannot say, this man is one of the greatest of all time. And like I said, for me, I think he's the best of all time. But it was a great interview with Piers Morgan. You can find it on YouTube. It's about an hour and 15-minute interview. If you want to watch the full thing, they have it uploaded in part 1 and part 2 if you can't watch it all in one shot. But fantastic interview. Talks a little bit as well of Manchester United and their struggles and how he still has love for them and he still keeps up with their score. He also says, here's another controversial statement, that it's harder to score in the Saudi league than it is in La Liga in Spain. And I've thought about this because people have brought it up to me. I have thought about this. The only argument where I could see that is true is there has been a big influx, right, in players who have moved from European clubs to the Saudi league and have made it difficult. I mean, even between the Saudi league and the MLS, right? We saw when Inter Miami went on that tour with Messi on the field, everybody on the field, they played Al Nassr. There was no Ronaldo, and Al Nassr whipped Inter Miami. We saw them play Al Hilal. Al Hilal whipped Inter Miami, and the skill and the talent was much better than we were seeing, right, from what supposedly is the best MLS product in Inter Miami, which I would say they're just more marketable because they have Messi. I won't say it's the best product that the league has to offer. But to that statement, that's the only argument I have, is that maybe a lot of influx of players have moved from Europe to the Saudi league and have made it more difficult. Because look, when you look at Spain, it's not like the Premier League where on any given day, the team number 18 in the table can beat team number 1 in the table and make it competitive, right? I think in La Liga, you have Real, you have Barcelona, and you have Atleti, who's come on the scene in the last 10 years. But it wasn't like that always. It was Barca and Real. And yeah, there was periods of time where you had Valencia or you had Sevilla who were competitive. But right now, those two clubs are not really that competitive. And maybe for a player like Ronaldo, he, in his personal opinion, maybe what he was trying to say, he has found it easier to score in Spain than it is to score in the Saudi league. So I think that's something that we have to look deeply into, the statistics of the teams and defending and how many goals are conceded and the level of talent right now that is in La Liga compared to the Saudi league. So I can't really choose a side. I think that's something that needs to be analyzed very closely before you make your opinion or your judgment. And something that, he said 1 to 2 years left, right? I always felt like he was going to retire in Sporting Lisbon, where he started his career. He's currently again in Saudi and Al Nassr. And I just don't see him the way that he is speaking. And I just don't see him leaving Al Nassr. I think he likes living in Saudi Arabia. I think his family likes living in Saudi Arabia. So he might just end his career there in Saudi. I know he was asked, about being at Sporting Lisbon, and he's always talked about one day returning. But the way he's talked about Saudi and Al Nassr, I can't. Off his body language, I can't see that. I can't see that happening right now. And especially, I would say a question that he was asked about coaching or ownership. He sees himself, owning a team instead of coaching. He doesn't think coaching is for him. And then here's probably the biggest controversial part of the interview is Piers Morgan brings up that he signed a Portugal jersey for, excuse me, he signed a Portugal jersey for U.S. President Donald Trump. And on the jersey, he wrote, "Playing for peace." And Piers Morgan asked him about that, and he said that he wrote that because he believes President Trump is one of the people in this world that can make a difference and can make a change. But he also went on to say that he likes President Trump because he has seen what he has done in the world of bringing wars to an end and bringing peace, and that he seems like a person that can get things done. And which Piers Morgan said, replied to Cristiano. Cristiano said that he would love at one point to meet President Trump. Piers Morgan said, "He's a buddy of mine. I can arrange that," especially his son Barron Trump is a huge soccer fan and loves Cristiano Ronaldo, and even wanted to organize a potential podcast between Piers Morgan, Barron Trump, Cristiano Ronaldo, and President Trump all together as the World Cup draws near here in North America. So we might be seeing that, but I know that's going to bring a lot of controversy, as always, as the U.S. president always brings. That position being the most powerful man in office in the entire world and has the most influence. And they talked about who has more fame, U.S. President Trump or Cristiano Ronaldo. And Cristiano says himself that he thinks that there's places, specks in the earth that nobody knows about, that probably they know who Cristiano is instead of President Trump. And I might believe that. I mean, football is huge, and football, it's all over the globe, right? So I actually believe that. But that was the interview. You guys check it out. It's on YouTube, like as I said. And finally, last subject is Messi and Inter Miami advanced to the second round of the MLS Cup playoffs. They dismantled Nashville at home. My prediction was right. I picked Inter Miami over Nashville. I just didn't think Nashville had it in them, and you knew it from the get-go, from the beginning of the match. They just didn't seem like the Nashville that had started the match with such urgency and physicality when they're at home at Geodis Park. And as soon as I saw that low energy and not able to get any creativity, and we're struggling with Inter Miami's press, I knew this is going to be a long night for Nashville. I don't think anything's going to happen. Granted, it was 2-0 1 point, and they had a goal taken away. That VAR checked of Maxi Falcon, who was clipped. He was clipped, but I think it was a dive from Falcon. I don't even want to say clipped. I think that their feet just got tangled, and they took away the goal. I wouldn't have. I think it was very minor. But since Falcon made the most of it, they gave the foul. And so they took away the goal. So that's unfortunate for Nashville. But even though, aside from that, their performance wasn't good at all. Walker Zimmerman's last game in a Nashville jersey as he is departing the club. You feel for Hani Mukhtar, who's been an MLS MVP. He's a fantastic player. He's a game changer. and Joe Willis, who's also another fantastic keeper. And these two teams definitely have history, and they've met literally 4 times in the last 20 days from the end of the season to these 3 games in the playoffs. But I want to say credit to Nashville pushing Inter Miami to that 3rd and final game, but it was just too much. Even without Suarez, which begs the question now as Inter Miami moves on to the 2nd round on an away game. Remember, now it's just one game. You win or you go home. They will be going to TQL Stadium to play FC Cincinnati, a place where Miami really hasn't had a lot of success. It is a place to play at in Major League Soccer. The question now is, Suarez, do you start him or do you bench him? They played very well, as you can see, against Nashville without him. And there's been rumors that Messi has talked to Javier Mascherano and said, hey, let's start Suarez off of the bench and bring him in. I don't know how accurate those reports are, but if it is true, I agree with Messi. Let's start Suarez on the bench and bring him in for reinforcement instead of starting him. We know he doesn't have the legs. We all know that he should not be going 90 minutes despite Inter Miami's fact of wanting him to play full 90. I don't think he should. I think they played way better without him in this last game against Nashville. And if you ask me for a prediction, the game's on the 22nd. So we're going to have some time from here in the next weekend to dissect and get into that. But early thoughts, if you ask me, I want to say Miami is going to win. But I think Cincinnati's really good at home, and they've had a really good season. They took out a good team in the Columbus Crew. I think, obviously, you look at the series for Miami against Nashville. Nashville is a very inconsistent team this season. And Cincinnati has been consistent. So, for that reason, this is a tough call, guys. But for that reason, I'm going to pick Cincinnati. But let's just bask in this right now. Let's bask that Inter Miami got through Nashville. They're through the first round of the playoffs. Finally, they avoided a disaster that I mentioned last week of being eliminated in the first round again. I think all hell would have broken loose. I still don't think they're the best team in the MLS. Do I think they can make the final? Yes, I could see that happening just because of Messi creating magic. Because when this team, as I've said many times before, when Messi doesn't create the magic, this team loses. So it all really relies on that. They don't have good defense. Rocco Rios Novo is kind of taking in goal for Oscar Ustari. But they did very well against Nashville and getting through this first round and setting up a date with FC Cincinnati. And that brings us to our Team of the Week. And your Team of the Week is no other than the hometown, if you are in South Florida, hometown Inter Miami CF. They proved all doubters wrong. People were saying they might fumble again like they did last year. They don't have it. We obviously were pointing out weaknesses that Inter Miami still has. The coaching, the suspect coaching of Javier Mascherano. But they're still alive. They made it to the next round. They beat Nashville convincingly, not just, getting by. They beat them convincingly. Yes, they were pushed to the 3rd and final game in the series, and they didn't look that good at Nashville at Geodis Park, but they got it done, and that's what matters in the playoffs, is getting it done. But here's the problem. The problem is you only have one game now. It's not as serious, so you really have to take advantage, and we know now that Inter Miami is very difficult to beat at home at Chase Stadium, but they haven't been the best on the road, and now they go into a place like TQL Stadium that's going to be very challenging. So those are the questions. But for this week, we can glorify them, we can support them, we can praise them. They did their job, they did what they needed to do, and had a resounding victory against Nashville SC to make it to the second round of the playoffs for the first time in club history, and that's why they are our team of the week. Well, everyone, that is going to conclude Pressing Matters episode number 8 with me, your host, Daniel Torres. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm so excited as we draw closer to the FIFA World Cup next year and the draw on December 5th at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of World Cup qualifiers in UEFA this week into next week. We hope you guys have a great weekend coming up, and we'll see you next Thursday for episode number 9 of Pressing Matters.